I was debating on if I should make content on this or not. Even though they promised $50, I still just didn't know if it was worth it. But screw it, I played the game and $50 is $50 if they held up what they said, but they worded things weirdly, so they may have changed that since I accepted the review, but I'm not sure. Anyway, let's talk about it. I may make a few cents off of this at the very least. Thank you for the chance to review it and find out. I'm sorry that you probably won't be happy with what I have to say. So Unioverse Hoverdome is a game that takes some slight inspiration from Rocket League, from their own admission, but with controls similar to the hover bikes from Destiny, and no bots even though it definitely needs them. You drive around, pick up weapon power-ups, pick up an item, and take the item to the goal. If you take a certain amount of damage, then you drop the item, and if you take too much, then you die and respawn right after. The controls are finicky, with no custom button mapping, and the game seems to respond to them being pressed sporadically at times. Sometimes it associates my press as a hold, sometimes it doesn't realize I let go of a button, and it's just not consistent whether it's on keyboard or controller, and the game seems to be optimized around controller itself. Even on my laptop, that could hardly run the game, full disclosure, the same issues arise. So my PC with 32GB of RAM, Nvidia 1660 Super, that ran the game with no visual lag, and whatever FPS is on screen still had lag in terms of button responses. It's an NFT game, one that has seemingly changed its terms from saying that all content creators get $50 to up to $50 to some will get $50. Seems like false advertisement, and given that, makes me a little hesitant to give it attention. But I want to make sure to clarify that it may have just been confusing wording due to making multiple kinds of terms for different types of content, all on one keymailer page. I truly hope that that's the case, and I'm going to trust that it is and update you if I get that $50. The main draws to try and get you in are that if you play now, then you don't have to pay $30 when the game fully releases, which I have to say is not worth it for this game in the slightest, especially when failed crypto crap like NFTs are literally one of the driving forces behind it, and the fact that on the practice days where they promised 10,000 real players, I couldn't find a single match. The fact that there aren't bots to offset that dead player count, not even in the practice mode, and the fact that it's not graphically great like it claims, that it's not unique in any impactful way, and that it gets boring rather quickly, makes it a pass for most, even if it was permanently free to play, which sucks, because the idea itself honestly isn't too bad. Crypto aside, there just isn't enough here to keep it from getting stale, especially since this lava-based map just doesn't have anything that makes it fun or memorable. I ended up purposefully crashing in practice just to see how many ways I could off myself and how fast I could do it just to create some fun. Having to pay them in order to compete in their tournament, especially whenever the game seems pretty dead when playing for free, is super silly to me. If nobody wants to play for $0, why would they pay money with no guarantee that there will be others that do the same? If you want to build an audience, you have to take that audience into consideration and build the game first with monetization after if for some odd reason you want to throw it in there. Charging for the game in the future is dumb, especially when you are selling NFTs around it, making it seem more like a cash grab than a game with any real passion or care surrounding it, which is reflective in how boring and repetitive the gameplay gets just after a few matches. The game is somehow making the same mistakes as Concord, charging for a game that should be free, while also upping that by then playing around with crypto systems as well, because that has went so well for every other game that has tried it. If Ubisoft, a giant corporation, can't do it successfully, then you can't either, and that's demonstrated pretty well here. Maybe it'll be worth it for Steam achievements or something. Nope. It has its own launcher too, because again, that works out so well every time anyone else does it. Not only does it have its own rather worthless launcher you have to use, but in order to sign up for the game, since it's not through Steam, you have to use your phone number. No other options. That alone almost made me decide to not even give it a shot, but after deliberation, I decided to take the leap. I'll let you know if NordVPN detects my phone number being sold on the dark web here soon, or if the amount of spam and scam calls and texts I get pick up, because it's super sus to request require phone and phone alone, especially when you have no goodwill to back up such a decision. Instead of getting players through clever marketing or through making a good game, they are basically trying to bribe players into playing it, whether it's the $50 content promise, the prize pool for the tournament, or this right here that says the amount of prize money you get is proportionate to the amount of your audience that joins. It feels kinda like a scummy thing to do. If you make a good game, players will play, especially if you make quality of life improvements along the way. Making a multiplayer game relies on feedback from real fans, not just ones that joined for their favorite creator when said creator only played in order to make some money. When that creator drops the game, their audience most likely will too, since none of them were actually there because they care about the game itself. The only thing that would keep some of them hooked is the addictive aspect of buying NFTs, which if that's what's being bet on, makes me feel kinda sick, since a lot of streamers and content creators in the gaming space have an audience made up primarily of kids. The game promises that in coming months there will be free-to-play tournaments with big prizes, but if that was the plan, wouldn't it make more logical sense to make the first tournament free-to-play? If they did that and delivered on the prize money, it would garner some goodwill, bring people to the game to compete, and then may bring them back for the future tournaments that may cost money in order to earn greater rewards. If they are betting on using the money generated by people participating to then pay the winner, then that would make sense, even though it is still pretty wrong, especially if those that work on the game participate, rig the amount of money they get and the amount that the real players get to offset the costs. Since they could do that, since they seem to be the ones regulating it all themselves, so keep that in mind. Nothing in terms of how this game is being handled makes a lick of sense to me. It truly feels like it's going to be the next live service scam, the next NFT scam that will take the money from the people that agreed to participate in the tournament and then run, shut down the game, and never be seen again. Not being on Steam takes away the assurance of refunds as well, so no matter how much I may want to compete in the tournament to offer a more accurate assessment of its validity, I can't afford to blow money on it when the risk is this great, because again, they seem to be regulating themselves here, ensuring they have no higher power to listen to. Giving me early access to games, allowing me to play them for free, etc. may be something I will always be grateful for from publishers and developers alike. Even in this moment, I'm grateful to have had the chance to play and in turn review this game. But those feelings don't change the reality of the game itself, and in this situation, there is no conceivable way I can ask any one of you to give this game a shot. I don't trust it, and even if it hurts my future collaborations with publishers and developers, I'm not going to ask anyone to risk it alongside me. Y'all took the time to watch this video, and it means a ton, so thank you. I'm sorry to the developers for not really having a positive thing to say. The game just feels so dad blame hollow to me, even without the NFT aspect involved. Add something to make it stand out. Make maps have more variety. Make them bigger so there's more consequences whenever you lose this game's version of a ball. Take the NFT garbage out and add unlockable skins, levels, a stat page, medals to show off. Add some reason for people to actually engage with and play your game. There is no sense of progression, no sense of achievement. It's a multiplayer game without any of the aspects that truly make it a competitive experience worth your time. This is a game that prioritizes crypto over enjoyment, so honestly it may as well not be a game at all. For more news, reviews, and whatever we choose, stay tuned to Nerdsfeed. Have a great day, thank you.